Hello everyone, my name is Jessica Gonzalez and I am the Program Specialist at our Holyoke Leadership Center. I'm so glad to see you all joining us again for another week of virtual content. This week, we are going to cover Coding for Good number 1, Coding Basics badges for all age levels. Thank you for joining us and stay tuned. Hello juniors. Today, we're going to get started working on our Coding for Good number 1 Basics badge. To start, we are going to look at creating algorithms that follow a sequence. To get started, we're going to need to follow the instructions provided on our instruction guide. If you could please make sure you pull that out, we're going to be looking at step 1, and we're going to be comparing the 2 recipes that are featured there. In order for a computer to complete a task, it requires step-by-step instructions. This order is incredibly important so that the computer knows exactly what you are asking it to do and in what specific order it has to do the tasks. If the order is confusing or there are any errors at all, the computer will not be able to complete the task as follows. So, to help us learn how exactly algorithms come into play here, we're going to take a look at 2 different recipes. So if you look at your instruction guide, there should be recipe 1 and recipe 2. Recipe 1 should look a little like this, and I will read it so I know we're on the same page. So the first step of recipe 1 is to preheat the oven to 350 degrees. Sounds like a good start. Cream together the butter, white sugar, and brown sugar until smooth. Beat in the eggs one at a time. Then stir the vanilla, dissolve the baking soda in hot water, add to batter along with salt, stir in flour, chocolate chips, and nuts, drop by spoonfuls onto an ungreased pan, and then bake for about 10 minutes. All right, so now that we've had a chance to look at recipe number 1, let's check out recipe number 2 and see if we notice any differences here. All right, I have recipe number 2 on the back of my sheet, and I'm going to read this as well. This one looks a little different. Cream together the butter, white sugar, and brown sugar until smooth. Bake for about 10 minutes maybe. It's a little confusing. Beat in the eggs one at a time. Dissolve baking soda. Add to batter with salt. Stir in flour, chocolate chips, and nuts. Preheat oven to 355 degrees. I'd like you to take a moment to think about what differences did you notice between recipe 1 and recipe 2? And if those were both computer programs, which program do you think would be easier for the computer to understand and actually be able to complete? I'll give you a second to think about that. All right, does anybody think they know? So, recipe 1 was definitely more clear and gave very specific instructions about what we needed to do to make sure our cookies came out exactly like the recipe hoped they would. Recipe number 2, however, had the steps in a completely different order, and it wasn't exactly clear how much or what exactly was needed to complete those different steps. So if recipe 1 was our computer program, we'd be all set. The computer would know exactly what to do, the order to do it in, and exactly the steps it needed to follow. However, if the computer had recipe number 2, we'd probably be in a little bit of trouble. I don't think the computer would be able to accurately do the task that we're asking of it because the steps are not clear to the computer, and therefore it would make it difficult for the computer to complete the task. All right. Now that we've finished step 1, I want you to take the knowledge you've learned about computer programming and algorithms through this first activity and go ahead and go back and do the steps 2 through 5 on your instruction guide. There are tutorials to help you, and you also have some examples to get you started. Good luck and have fun.